Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be doing a quick review of the Doctor Strange Omnibus Volume 2, printed by Marvel. Right, so to begin, talking about the appearance of the book, I have the direct market variant cover by Gene Colan. I think it looks really cool. It has Doctor Strange in his costumed appearance. As for the contents of the book, this omnibus contains Strange Tales number 147 through 168 and Doctor Strange 169 through 183, as well as Avengers number 61, Submariner number 22, and The Incredible Hulk number 126. As for the appearance of the book, underneath the dust jacket, it's once again the nicely contrasted Doctor Strange against the black, outer bound of the book, and on the back there is the Eye of Agamotto. So to get into some of the content, I guess I'll reiterate the sort of structure of the book. Remember that initially Doctor Strange made his appearance in the Strange Tales anthology series, and so in this one, in the beginning, issues number 147 through 168, they're essentially half issues. Doctor Strange is splitting the book with Nick Fury. Right. But with issues number 169, Marvel kind of expanded and split the anthology series into two separate books. So there was a new Nick Fury book, and Doctor Strange got his own solo series. So we went from Strange Tales number 168 to Doctor Strange number 169, but it's really like number one of his own solo series. Right. Yeah. So I guess I'll start talking about the content of the book more specifically. So I'll begin with saying that, as opposed to the previous volume, which was the Lee Ditko run, Doctor Strange Omnibus Volume 2 is kind of a mess creatively, pretty much until it became a solo series. It was pretty much every other issue that the writer or artist was changing, and I feel like the stories kind of reflect that in the beginning. I think it really gets its footing when it becomes a solo series and it's helmed by a consistent writer for its 15 issues before cancellation. Right. And like I said, the beginning is kind of weakish. They spend a lot of time like reiterating the previous adventures and recapping. They spend a lot of space on that, and the character's just a little bit off. I feel like they were kind of a little bit more dickish than usual. The Ancient One's kind of like more of a dick to Doctor Strange, and Doctor Strange is kind of a prick to Wong. And it doesn't help that every time I hear Doctor Strange being obnoxious in such a way, I hear this mother.
I, Stephen Strange, Sorcerer Supreme, must monitor threats against the Earth that... Wong, get the door! The door, Wong! And put on a shirt!
In any case, the villains too, for that reason, are kind of subpar. I know that some people do stuff later with them, but their initial appearances are not. They leave a lot to be desired. So the first villain is the Ancient One's, secret brother, Clea. The Ancient One's incredibly zesty brother. And then we have Dormammu's secret sister, Umar. And she's like super strong and can't be defeated until Doctor Strange brings in the next antagonist, Zom, whatever this thing is. And then Zom is too powerful to be defeated until the Living Tribunal comes. And the Living Tribunal kind of looks like that Lego guy. And to be honest, he's kind of like an Eternity ripoff. In his initial appearance. In any case, so you kind of see like what's going on here. And then there's some other villains later on that are kind of forgettable, to be honest. But about halfway through, like I said, Doctor Strange gets the full billing. He gets his own solo series with the writer Roy Thomas. And in the beginning, it's Dan Adkins doing the art. But then Gene Colan comes in, and that team, Roy Thomas and Gene Colan, do most of the solo issues. And I feel like with that, it gets much more of a, I guess, like creative direction. And I feel like the characters are more fleshed out. And yeah, I think it's much better. Yeah, I think, yeah, the writing is more nuanced. And I think the art finally gets like I don't know what you would say, a sort of independence, a sort of voice of its own. But I'm speaking of the art. What I mean by that, I mean like there's cool, I don't know, it's just a unique style. The panel composition becomes really interesting. And yeah, I think Gene Colan does some creative things like incorporating the title of the story in like the splash page in interesting ways. I guess I'll talk about his side characters. So we have like Wong, who's given much more character, I guess. And we also have Clea, who's given much more focus and depth than was previous the case. And we have the Ancient One. He actually gets killed off in the story, but then brought back. They were saying in the letters page, I forgot to mention the letters page the last time, by the way. I think in the previous volume 1, I thought they were, I would say, more interesting. Yeah, pretty fascinating sometimes. Anyway, they were saying how they didn't want to permanently like kill off the Ancient One because they felt like they didn't like the idea of losing any potential for stories with him. But then they brought him back. But they also wanted Doctor Strange to sort of grow on his own and not in the shadow of like a mentor. So they just like didn't use him as much. So that's kind of what the Ancient One's doing. Doctor Strange also has some crossovers. This sort of boosts sales. There was a 2-part story where Doctor Strange and Black Knight team up in the Doctor Strange book, and then the stories continued in Avengers number 61. In a similar vein, Roy Thomas, in an effort to make Doctor Strange more, I guess, more intriguing like the other heroes, he sort of gave him a secret identity and a different costume, like the one I showed you on the dust jacket there, a sort of like blue like face mask type thing, and some costume modifications. I think it looks cool. I would want it to be permanent, but I thought it was fine for a while. But I think they were intending to keep it for a long, long time, perhaps permanently. But I guess all of this is leading into the final story arc that Roy Thomas wrote about these Undying Ones. He just started the story arc, and then the book was suddenly canceled. So it was left incomplete, which was a surprise and not a surprise at the same time. Obviously, if they knew it ahead of time, they wouldn't have started a story arc. But also, well, the Strange Tales anthology series was the lowest selling one at Marvel, and then Doctor Strange and Nick Fury, the 2 series that broke out of that series, were the lowest selling books from Marvel Comics. So Doctor Strange got canceled. But Roy Thomas didn't want to let the story be irresolved. And so he picked it up in Submariner number 22 and the Hulk number 126. 2 series he was also writing to sort of flesh out and finish that story. All of this is kind of leading to the Defenders. And I guess I'll save some of that commentary for when I talk about the Defenders volume. So I guess leave that aside. So is Doctor Strange Omnibus Volume 2 as essential to read as Volume 1? Probably not. Like I said, about half of it is probably only for diehard Strange fans. And I wouldn't say it becomes good again until issues number 169 to 183, when it has a solid creative team. I just want to reiterate, the issues before a solo series aren't bad per se. It's just that the writers and artists, because they're like cycling through, don't really get a chance to leave their mark, or really make the title their own. It's just okay, but it just doesn't. It's just not great. All right, I don't want to be a hater. Just being honest, though. So, Doctor Strange Omnibus Volume 2 review. I guess there's not much else to say. Yeah. Do you have this book? What did you think about it? Thank you for watching. I hope you have a good one.